Hey folks, it's Paul here from ImpulsiveCulinarian.com, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to make a delicious, traditional, gluten-free pie crust. So how many different types of pie are there, right? I mean, the list is endless. There's all kinds of stuff you can put in a pie. But when you're in the mood to make a traditional flaky pie crust, you know, like a good old-fashioned pie, none of this ground-up graham cracker stuff, that can be tricky when you're doing it gluten-free and dairy-free. Well, I've spent some time on this, and I've got a recipe for you that is going to work every time. So here's what you need. Okay, so let's start off with the dry ingredients. Here's what you're going to need. 1/4 cup of brown rice flour, 1/4 cup of Masa Harina. This is a traditional Mexican flour used to make tortillas. It's corn flour, but it's a little bit different, and I really like it for this recipe because it's got a lighter color and a slightly sweeter taste. So you can use corn flour if you want, but I definitely recommend you use the Masa Harina. 1/4 cup of white rice flour, 1/4 cup of tapioca flour. Tapioca flour and tapioca starch are the exact same thing. You're going to need 1/4 cup of potato starch, not potato flour, potato starch. And then you're going to need 1/2 teaspoon of guar or xanthan gum. Guar gum is usually more affordable, but either one will do. Now, for the wet ingredients, you're going to want 1/3 cup of coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of honey, 1 organic egg, and a tablespoon of cold water. Okay, let's make some gluten-free, dairy-free pie crust. So, the way it all starts, you get your dry ingredients and put them in a food processor. You can do it by hand, that's fine, but I find it so much easier just to blitz it in here. You're gonna see it's gonna take a few seconds. So, dry ingredients in there. Once the dry ingredients are in, just give it a quick pulse to mix it up. Here you go, dry ingredients all mixed together in the food processor. Next thing you want to do is get your coconut oil into the food processor. If you're not familiar with coconut oil, the first time you get it, you might say, well, that's not oil. Yeah, sure it is. It's very healthy stuff, but it's actually solid. And the key is, do not melt it. You want it to be in its solid state when you put it in there. So get a spoon and throw it right in. Give that a quick pulse to get it going. Next, you throw in the wet ingredients. Add your organic egg. Go organic. I usually go freehand, but because of the exact ratio of wet to dry ingredients in this pie crust recipe, I want to measure out my 2 tablespoons of organic honey, just to make sure. Get it in the food processor. Okay, wet ingredients are in there. Let's give it a blitz. So rather than leave it on, with all your wet ingredients in there, just pulse it a little bit. When it starts to get nice and combined, you're going to tell by the texture. It starts to get really granular. And if you have any dry stuff on the side, get a cake spatula and scrape that stuff down. Now the true test of a good pie crust, it should just stick when you clump it together with your hands. But it shouldn't be so wet that it starts to get gooey. Now, this is almost ready. Let me show you. So if I take just a little tiny bit of this pie crust here and I clump it together, you're going to see it sticks, but it's still a little bit too dry to make a nice cohesive crust. So the last secret ingredient. So using level measurements is very important in this recipe. In order to get to this stage and have the difference be made by 1 tablespoon of water, you really have to use the exact amounts. So get yourself 1 tablespoon of cold water. Pulse it up. So that's the ticket right there. It just starts to clump up all on its own. Now you know it's ready. So get yourself a good square of parchment paper or wax paper, something that doesn't stick. Dump this out onto your paper. What a mess, but this is going to be a delicious mess in not too long. Now get yourself a piece of saran wrap. Lay the plastic wrap on top of the dough and squish it together into a small disc. Just like that. So there's a lot of purists out there. Oh, you must freeze your dough. You gotta... Nah, forget about it. Roll it out and get it in a pie plate. Still works. So the thickness is not important. It's all relative to the size of your pie plate. Roll it out until it's big enough to fit in here. I think that'll do the trick. Perfect. How do you flip that into there? Cutting board. Intruder alert! Ah! Upside down. So as you push this down into the bottom of the pie plate, don't worry about making any tears or rips. You can just take a little piece like this and paste it back wherever you need to. Take the time now to make it look good. Yeah, so there you have it. Easy as pie. Oh, you just crimp the edges, do whatever you want. If you want to put a pie crust on top, make another batch, and just use your handy cutting board and flip it on top of whatever filling that you've got in there. Yeah, you freeze this, you do whatever you want, like a conventional pie shell. Follow the recipe that you're using for whatever it is, pumpkin pie, apple pie, if it tells you to blind bake it or just leave it raw and cook it with the ingredients in. At that point, you've got your gluten-free, dairy-free pie shell. You just follow the regular recipe for any pie recipe that you can find. There you go. So there you have it, folks. That's my gluten-free, dairy-free pie crust recipe. So I hope you liked it. My name is Paul from ImpulsiveCulinarian.com. And if you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Lots more videos to come. And I look forward to your feedback. Let me know what kind of stuff you'd like me to make. I'll be happy to do it. See you in the next video.